Hi there, friends. This is Stephanie Bennett from The Secret Place, Psalm 91. I'm so glad you've joined me today. Today I have a treat for you. How could anyone not love Richard J. Foster? This is his classic, Celebration of Discipline. Oh, this book just keeps on giving and giving and giving. I have a very dear friend of mine. She's perhaps my oldest friend. We were friends since we're at least 15 in high school together. And so she's a old high school friend, and she's also a Holy Spirit friend. We've known each other for a long time and share our faith together. Well, she sent me an email with this little passage that I want to share with you from the Celebration of Discipline. And again, it never ceases to bless. I think, wow, this was written in 1997. That's pretty long ago. And it just reverberates. That's what truth does. It reverberates. It echoes through the years. It echoes through our being. So Foster says this: superficiality is the curse of our age. The doctrine of instant satisfaction is a primary spiritual problem. The desperate need for today is not for a greater number of intelligent people or gifted people, but for deep people. The classical disciplines of the spiritual life call us to move beyond surface living into the depths. They invite us to explore the inner caverns of the spiritual realm. They urge us to be the answer to a hollow world. John Woolman counsels, "It is good for thee to dwell deep, that thou mayest feel and understand the spirits of the people." We must not be led to believe that the disciplines are only for spiritual giants and hence beyond our reach, or only for contemplatives who devote all their time to prayer and meditation. Far from it. God intends the disciplines of the spiritual life to be for ordinary human beings, people who have jobs, people who care for children, who wash dishes and mow lawns. In fact, the disciplines are best exercised in the midst of our relationships with our husband or wife, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, or our neighbors. Thank you, Richard Foster, for that wonderful reminder. I think it's easy to see the spiritual disciplines as something that's rigid, as things that are rigid and things that we need to do to check off our list. I know we always talk about this in The Secret Place, but reading our Bibles and having a quiet time and getting to church on Sunday and working as an activist for social justice and all the things that we can do and should do that are good for us to build up our faith. It's so easy just to see them as things we need to do and kind of do them superficially. You know what I'm saying? There is something to be said for just working through the disciplines, whether we want to or feel good about it or not. It's not about wanting to or feeling good. It's about noticing and addressing what Foster calls that inner cavern, those inner caverns of our heart, right? And they urge us to give and be the answer for a hollow world. And then, of course, he quotes John Woolman, one of my favorite Quakers from a long time ago in America. Was he the 1600s? I think it was the 1600s, or late or 1700s. I should know the date. Sorry, I don't, and I'm not a historian, but I should know that date. But he is one of my favorites. He did not let the needs of the day lead him and rule him. He listened in for the Spirit of the living God, and he was someone who paved the way for social change, much needed social change in the antebellum era. It was long before slavery ended, but he would go. He would walk, or he would take his horse from meeting to meeting on Sundays up and down the East Coast of the United States of America, sharing that it was wrong to think of African Americans as property. And he spoke fervently against that. But that didn't come out of just feeling or a thought that maybe that wasn't right. That came out of a deep place, as Foster's talking about, those deep inner caverns, those hidden places in our heart where we bring before the Lord and say, why am I Why am I miserable today? Why am I suffering? Why am I burdened? Whatever word you use for it. And that's what John Woolman did. Lord, this burden, I don't want to be a part of a society or a culture that thinks another human being, because of the color of their skin, can be sold or owned as property. I don't want that. That's not right. Something's wrong there. The burden is so deep, God. And as he would share that with God and go for weeks at a time, I read his biography, go for weeks at a time, just laboring in this kind of silent prayer before God, saying, what do I need to do? He was released to the Lord to just move into telling other people about it, changing. Now he didn't live to see the changes, the wonderful changes that happened as a result of much activism, but really much of his work. But he moved in the Spirit. He moved in the Spirit, and that was because he moved beyond what he just saw peripherally, out of side vision. He focused in, he zeroed in with eyes of the Spirit, we might say. Paul said it, so I can use that phrase, can I? The eyes of our understanding. He zeroed in to what is underneath the surface. What is God saying? Why am I carrying this burden? Why can't I tolerate this? You might have something like that today that might be just as significant as John Woolman's burden to free the Africans from slavery in early America. It might be just as significant, where it might be something that is really just personal and that you're carrying around about your family or your finances or your health or your neighborhood or your state government. It could be anything. We carry these burdens, and sometimes these burdens they come from God. I mean, I hope maybe you don't want to hear that, but they do. Sometimes the Lord will lay something heavy on our hearts and lead us to pray because we don't know what to do with that. And then that prayer, often through much prayer, and then sharing it maybe with friends, other spiritual people who want to hear God and know God and commune with God, it will move into an activism, into some type of change, social change for the good, the change in your household for the good, or change in your neighborhood for the good, for the good. So when those burdens come, even if there is misery, let's not try to just slough it off and distract ourselves with social media and all of the different kinds of distractions that come our way. Let's just try to slough it off or hide it under the rug. Let's bring that into the light of the Lord and say, why am I bothered by this? Or what can I do about this where I'm bothered? What can I do about this, Lord? If we constantly busy ourselves with too much work, and too much technology and too much media and too much amusement, we just kind of walk around with that burden, right? We walk around with that misery. We kind of carry it with us. And don't you want to be free of that? I know you do. I know you do. So walk with me through these spiritual disciplines and tell me about them. Share them. Share them with someone you're close to. Or feel free to leave a comment and share some insight or share a question or a concern in the comment boxes here in the secret place. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for coming by today. Lord bless you. This is Stephanie.